Welcome to the City of Tuscaloosa Fats, Oils, and Grease program. Today we are going to talk about fog prevention and the responsibilities of a fog hauler. A leading cause of sewer blockages across the United States is the fats, oils, and grease buildup in our sanitary sewers. Fog buildup is usually found in conjunction with tree root growth and with the accumulation of other sediments and debris. Grease deposits are often responsible for creating bottlenecks in our sanitary sewer system in the form of partial or complete pipe blockages. The blockages may cause or contribute to sanitary sewer overflows into our local waterways and backups into our homes and businesses. Thus, grease blockages can cause significant damage to properties and be a risk to public health and the environment. Municipalities experience a direct cost burden for responding to blockages, relieving the blockage, cleaning damage done, or paying regulatory fines and penalties for their discharge permits because of fog-related problems. Sanitary sewer overflows and basement backups also present various levels of public health hazards and pollution to the environment. In addition, there are potentially adverse impacts from fog on the performance of the wastewater treatment plants. The maintenance costs associated with the blockages and the adverse performance are ultimately passed along to the sewer ratepayer. The City of Tuscaloosa has been implementing grease pollution prevention measures for over 5 years by requiring large commercial or public kitchens to install and properly maintain grease removal devices and drain lines. A comprehensive fog program has been formulated and was initiated in 2012. State and local regulating agencies include fog management programs as a key activity in their regulatory toolbox. This presentation details the fog management program that has been developed to avoid potential conveyance and treatment performance problems. The fog management program is a formal program by the City of Tuscaloosa that incorporates applicable guidance, policies, and regulations. These measures govern fog generators and haulers in order to manage grease waste generated by customers that discharge to the city's sanitary sewer system or treatment system. The primary purpose of the Tuscaloosa Fog Management Program is to prevent grease-related pipe blockages and subsequent overflows from happening, and thus avoid property damages, environmental problems in nearby surface waters, and public health hazards. By controlling the discharge from fog to the wastewater collection system, fog buildup in sanitary sewer lines and lift stations will be lessened, thereby increasing the wastewater collection system's operating efficiency and minimizing system maintenance expenditures. In addition, an effective fog management program will minimize potential revenue losses associated with the enforcement of fog-related actions. Another important purpose of the program is to prevent fog discharges at the city's wastewater treatment plant from containing concentrations of pollutants or pollutant properties. These might interfere with the operation of the plant or cause the treatment plant to exceed discharge permit effluent limits or cause pass-through of pollutants to receiving streams or the atmosphere. Goals of the fog management program are to reduce SSOs, to protect the environment and public health, to reduce fog-related expenditures. These goals will be achieved by minimizing fog entering into the city's sanitary sewer infrastructure and keeping it in concentrations or rates allowed, establishing control over the fog discharges at the city's wastewater treatment plant and keeping discharged fog in concentrations within allowed limits. The responsibility to achieve the goals of the city's fog management program will be shared between the City of Tuscaloosa, Tuscaloosa Food Service Establishments, Tuscaloosa area fog haulers, and the citizens of Tuscaloosa. The City of Tuscaloosa's responsibilities will be the following: public fog education and outreach, training to food service establishments, achieving compliance from food service establishments, FSC inspections, internal training within the city about the fog program. In order to achieve compliance with the fog management program for all FSCs while maintaining good public relations, compliance enforcement consequences are designed to directly vary with the degree of the FSC compliance cooperation and resolutions. Educate food service establishments about the program and requirements through training provided at the program on set. Perform FSC inspections periodically for checking compliance with the program. Encourage compliance through notices of noncompliance and warnings of potential fines and stringent enforcement measures that would allow for persistent noncompliance. In order to achieve compliance with the fog management program from all FSCs while maintaining good public relations, the following compliance enforcement consequences are designed to directly vary with the degree of the FSC compliance and cooperation resolutions. Verbal warning. The first disciplinary measure for the best management practices where the FSC is told by the SSO fog investigator that the BMP's implementation by the FSC does not comply with the city's standards and must be improved. A verbal warning may or may not stipulate a follow-up inspection. Courtesy letter. A standard letter issued by the city which specifies BMP and or GRD deficiencies identified during the FSC inspection. The courtesy letter stipulates that a follow-up inspection will be performed typically within 5 working days for the GRD deficiencies and within 2 weeks for the BMP deficiencies. Certified letter. A standard letter which specifies BMP and or GRD deficiencies identified during the inspection. The certified letter is a final warning to the FSC to correct deficiencies within the specified time frame, typically within 5 working days, and is followed by the FSC reinspection. Failure to comply with the fog facility standards shall result in the issuance of a summons. Issue noncompliance summons following the determination that the FSC is in violation, and pursue a municipal code violation in municipal court. Terminate water and sewer service to the FSC if all other measures have been tried and proves unsuccessful. Training to FSEs. Educating FSC owners and managers about the fog management program, specifically in implementing best management practices and performing proper GRD maintenance, is essential for achieving their compliance with the program. The SSO fog investigators are the principal means for delivering the fog management program requirements and necessary education to the FSC community. At the onset of the fog program, FSC's knowledge and awareness of the program may vary greatly. The SSO fog investigator will visit the facility and provide training to instruct the FSC owner and manager, who will instruct all other employees of how the fog program should be implemented and how it affects their business. The FSC owner or manager will be instructed about forms that the FSC is required to use, which all will remain in the FSC and be shown to the SSO fog investigator during the FSC inspections upon request. Some of these forms include the fog hauler manifest forms. These will be used to document the cleaning of the GRDs performed by the professional fog haulers. The checklist for hauler monitoring forms. These will be used by the FSC personnel to monitor grease interceptor pump outs to ensure proper cleaning and maintenance procedures are followed and that the fog hauler does not take any shortcuts. Commercial food service establishments. All commercial food service establishments doing business in Tuscaloosa require a business license issued by the city. One of the requirements for the FSCs in obtaining the code compliance certificate is to have a grease removal device installed and approved by the city. The requirement is based on the city ordinance, which specifies that all FSCs must install, operate, and maintain grease control devices on the premises of the establishment, which prevents the discharge into the sanitary sewer of solids or viscous substances in amounts which may cause obstructions to the flow in the sanitary sewer system or interference with the operation of the wastewater treatment plant. This city ordinance also says that the city, ADM, and the EPA have the right of entry to all properties for the inspection, observation, measurement, sampling, and testing in accordance with the provisions of the division, and may at reasonable times have access to and copy any records, inspect any monitoring equipment or method required, inspect sources of wastewater treatment facilities, and sample any effluents which the owner or operator is required to sample. The regulations require that the amount of fog in the wastewater discharged to the sewer system be less than 100 milligrams per liter, parts per million. Proper fog handling at FSEs will reduce the amount of fog that enters into the sewer system. Kitchen best management practices include kitchen's daily activities and measures to keep fog from being discharged to the sanitary sewer. Proper GRD's maintenance practices relate to their cleaning frequencies, effective cleaning methods, and retaining pump-out records for a specified amount of time. In order to get in compliance with the fog management program, the FSE must implement best management practices. FSEs may use the provided checklist for implementing BMPs. FSEs may use the provided checklist for requirements of the fog management program related to the condition and performance of GRDs. The fog management program also includes requirements to keep proper documentation about employee training and GRD maintenance. FSEs will use the provided checklist. The following is a list of some of the forms associated with the documentation of the fog program. Tracking of GRD maintenance training form. Inspection form for greased interceptors, pages 1 and 2. Inspection cleaning form for grease traps. Fog hauler manifest form. Instructions for completing the fog hauler manifest, and the checklist for the hauler monitoring. Tracking of GRD maintenance training. This form will list selected employees that received training in GRD inspection and cleaning, and the dates when they were trained. Inspection form for grease interceptors. This will be used to keep records of how often the grease interceptors are inspected by the FSC personnel. Page 2 of the inspection form for the grease interceptors. This form will be used to assist keeping records of how often grease interceptors are inspected by the FSC personnel. This form also lists fog discharge prohibitions. Inspection cleaning form for the grease traps. This form will be used to keep records of how often grease traps are inspected and cleaned by the FSC personnel. Page 2 of the inspection cleaning form for the grease traps. This form will be used to assist keeping records with how often grease traps are inspected and cleaned by FSC personnel. Fog hauler manifest form. This form will be used to document the cleaning of GRDs performed by the professional fog haulers. Instructions for completing the fog hauler manifest form. This form explains the procedure for completing the fog hauler manifest with the instructions for the FSC representatives, instructions for the fog haulers, and the instructions for the City of Tuscaloosa personnel. Checklist for hauler monitoring. This form will be used by the FSC personnel to monitor grease interceptor pump outs to ensure proper cleaning and maintenance procedures are followed and that the fog hauler does not take any shortcuts. Commercial fog haulers. The Alabama On-Site Wastewater Board requires that any individual, business, partnership, or corporation performing pumping, servicing, replacing lids, repairing, replacing, or maintaining the component parts of a septic tank, sewage tanks, and grease traps must have a pumper's license. Obtaining this license from the Alabama On-Site Wastewater Board involves initial training and examination, and continuing education thereafter. This assures that the fog hauler truck drivers are experienced and understand the correct procedures. The Alabama Department of Public Health requires that a person proposing to be a sewage tank pumper obtains a permit from the local health department, in this case the Tuscaloosa Health Department. The Tuscaloosa Health Department issues a septic tank pumper's permit for each hauler truck after performing truck inspection. Any persons owning a septic pump truck or other liquid transport trucks desiring to discharge contents of the truck at the Hillard Fletcher Wastewater Treatment Plant has obtained an access pass card from the City of Tuscaloosa, as defined by the City's Sewer Use Ordinance. Initial permitting. The applicant for the fog hauling business license in Tuscaloosa has to obtain a pumper's license from the AOWA first. The next step is to obtain a septic pumper permit from the Tuscaloosa Health Department for each truck that will be used in the fog collection and delivery to the wastewater treatment plant. After the application is submitted, the Tuscaloosa Health Department performs inspection on the hauler's truck and issues the permit. The fog hauler next submits an application for a business license, with the pumper's license and septic tank pumper permit enclosed. The city's revenue department issues a business license. The last step is obtaining an access pass card or barcode sticker for each fog hauler's truck from the city's sewer and water department. Initial permitting. A flow chart showing the permitting process for fog haulers is included in Figure 22. Permit renewal. A pumper's license and septic tank pumper permits must be renewed annually. A septic tank pumper permit expires on December 31st, and the renewal is required each year prior to December 31st. To renew a septic tank pumper permit, an application needs to be submitted to the Tuscaloosa Health Department and the hauler truck re-inspected. If the inspection is satisfactory, the permit is renewed. An access pass card or barcode sticker is valid for as long as the business license is in good standing. Permit renewal. A flowchart showing the license and permits renewal timing and requirements for fog haulers is included in Figure 23. Grease interceptor cleaning. The interceptor cleaning begins with the cleaning of the top layer of grease. Using the truck suction hose, the top layer of fog is vacuumed up first. The bottom layer, consisting of the heavier sludge and fog, is vacuumed up next. In the last step, the remaining water or liquid is pumped out to leave the interceptor completely empty. This may be followed by high pressure water scrubbing. Definition of clean means that the tank is entirely pumped out. Decanting is a practice of returning wastewater from a grease hauler's truck back into the grease interceptor after it has been vacuumed out. Decanting is not allowed. This wastewater has a high grease and solids content and low pH, and it may be contaminated from the hauler's previous load and cause odors. Grease interceptor cleaning. Fog haulers are required to keep a complete record of facilities cleaned and submit such records to the Tuscaloosa Health Department when requested, as per ADPH's on-site sewage treatment and disposal rules. The form used for this purpose is a fog hauler manifest. It is a standard form that enables FSCs to record the times and volumes of fog pumped and removed from their facility, and gives fog haulers proof that they have properly discharged the collected fog loads. It serves the city tracking the grease after it has been collected until it has been disposed, and enables the city to assess the fog haulers for the fog quantities disposed at the plant. Fog hauler manifest. The form has three parts that are filled out as follows. The top portion is filled in by the FSC representative who signs and dates the form when the waste is removed, specifies the number of GRDs cleaned, and estimates quantities of fog removed in gallons. The middle portion is filled in by the fog hauler who, before leaving the FSC, fills in the details about hauler business, driver, and truck access pass card, and after discharging fog at the plant, dates the form to indicate the date of discharge. The bottom portion is filled in by the city's database specialist after entering the information into the database. The manifest is printed on a carbonless white, canary, and pink form. Fog hauler manifest. The steps in filling the processing of the manifest are shown in Figure 50. The steps in filling and processing the manifest. The FSC keeps the pink copy of the manifest after the hauler has accepted the waste. After collecting fog loads from one or more FSCs, the fog driver will discharge the fog load at the wastewater treatment plant. At that time, the driver dates the form from each FSC and leaves the original white copy in the drop box at the wastewater treatment plant and retains the canary copy for company records. The original form is forwarded to the city's database specialist, who enters the information into the city's database and retains original copies of the manifest for a period of 1 year. It is the FSC's responsibility to keep the pink copy of the manifest at the FSC and make it available to the SSO fog investigator upon request at the inspection. It is the fog hauler's responsibility to keep the canary copy of the manifest at the hauler's place of business and make it available upon request. An application for sewage tank pumper permit. After obtaining a pumper's license from the AOWA first, this form will be submitted to the Tuscaloosa Health Department for each truck that will be used in the fog collection and delivery to the wastewater treatment plant. After an application is submitted, the Tuscaloosa Health Department performs an inspection of a hauler's truck and issues the permit. Sewage tank pumper general requirements. This form will be used as a general guideline for sewage tank pumping requirements. Fog hauler manifest form. This form will be used to document the cleaning of GRDs, mainly grease interceptors, performed by the fog haulers. The fog hauler manifest, page 2. Instructions for completing the fog hauler manifest form. This form explains the procedure for completing the fog hauler manifest with instructions for the FSC representatives, instructions for fog haulers, and instructions for the City of Tuscaloosa personnel. Checklist for hauler monitoring. This form will be used by FSC personnel to monitor grease interceptor pump outs to ensure proper cleaning and maintenance procedures are followed and that the fog hauler does not take any shortcuts. Fog hauler's responsibility. Fog disposal at the wastewater treatment plant. Fog haulers discharge their grease loads at the wastewater treatment plant's fog septage receiving station, adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant's influent pump station. There are a total of 6 receiving holes located in the receiving area adjacent to the plant's influent pump station, which convey the truck's discharge directly to the plant's influent pump station. The receiving station also contains 3 subsurface holding basins that can receive questionable or more toxic hauler loads. Separate discharge holes are used when hauler trucks are discharging to the holding basins. The discharge flow from the regular receiving holes cannot be redirected to the holding basins. Fog disposal at the wastewater treatment plant. Only permitted fog haulers should access the plant using the issued gate access device provided by the city when the fog hauler permit is issued. The city may monitor and record the arrival of the fog haulers at the wastewater treatment plant receiving area using CCTV equipment. Each hauler should leave the fog hauler manifest form at the drop box provided by the city at the fog and septage receiving area. The manifest provides a list of locations where they collected the grease loads and the fog quantities that were collected at each of these locations. Once the dumping begins, it takes about 10 minutes to empty the truck. After dumping, the driver washes down the area. What will I, as a fog hauler, need to do to get into compliance with the fog management program? Here's the bottom line. In order to get in compliance with the fog management program, the applicant of a fog hauling business license in Tuscaloosa has to obtain a pumper's license from the AOWA first. After submitting an application to the AOWB, it is necessary to register and complete the training, a 1.5-day course offered by the AOWB and the University of West Alabama in the AOWA Training Center in Livingston, Alabama, and take a written exam with the AOWB on the last day of training. The applicant also needs to post a $15,000 performance bond to an insurance company where a certificate of insurance is issued. With successful passed exam and evidence of posted bond, the AOWB issues a pumper's license. A pumper's license expires at the end of the calendar year. A licensee must obtain required continuing education credit hours annually. In order to get in compliance with the fog management program, the applicant of the fog hauling business license in Tuscaloosa has to obtain a septic tank pumper permit from the Tuscaloosa Health Department next. Obtain a septic tank pumper permit from the Tuscaloosa Health Department for each truck that will be used in the fog collection and delivery to the wastewater treatment plant. After an application is submitted, the Tuscaloosa Health Department performs inspection of a hauler's truck and issues a permit. A septic tank pumper permit expires on December 31st, and the renewal is required each year prior to December 31st. To renew septic tank pumper permit, an application needs to be submitted to the Tuscaloosa Health Department and the hauler truck re-inspected. If the inspection is satisfactory, the permit is renewed. In order to get in compliance with the fog management program, the applicant for a fog hauling business license in Tuscaloosa has to obtain an access card for each fog hauler's truck for the city's water and sewer department. An access pass card is valid for as long as the business license is in good standing. Fog haulers may use the following checklist for requirements of the fog management program related to the maintenance of GRDs. The interceptor cleaning begins with the cleaning of the top grease layer. Using the truck's suction hose, the top layer of fog is vacuumed up first. The bottom layer, consisting of heavier sludge and fog, is vacuumed up next. The last step, the remaining water or liquid, is pumped out to leave the interceptor completely empty. This may be followed by high-pressure water scrubbing. Definition of clean means the tank is entirely pumped out. Decanting is a practice of returning wastewater from a grease hauler truck back into the grease interceptor after it has been vacuumed out. Decanting is not allowed. This wastewater has high grease and solids content and low pH, and it may be contaminated from the hauler's previous load and cause odors. Fog haulers may use the following checklist for requirements from the fog management program related to the maintenance of GRDs. Fog haulers are required to keep a complete record of facilities cleaned and submit such records to the Tuscaloosa Health Department when requested, as ADPH's on-site sewage treatment and disposal rules. The form used for this purpose is the Fog Hauler Manifest. It is a standard form that enables FSCs recording the times and the volume of fog pumped out and removed from their facility and gives fog haulers proof that they have properly discharged the collected fog loads. It serves the city tracking the grease after it has been collected until it has been disposed of, and enables the city to assess the fog haulers for the fog quantities disposed at the plant. Fog haulers may use the following checklist for requirements of the fog management program related to the disposal of septage. Fog haulers discharge the grease loads to the wastewater treatment plant's fog septage receiving station adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant's influent pump station. There are a total of 6 receiving holes located in the receiving station area adjacent to the plant's influent pump station, which convey the truck's discharge directly to the plant's influent pump station. The receiving station area also contains 3 subsurface holding basins that can receive questionable or more toxic hauler loads. Separate discharge holes are used when hauler trucks are discharging to a holding basin. The discharge flow from the regular receiving holes cannot be redirected to the holding basins. Here are a few website links.